A pleasant day, everyone. Today we will tackle about the ancient China. Ancient China culture. Ancient Chinese culture before the imperial era from 221 BC has obscure beginnings. Later innovations and contact with foreign cultures has colored Chinese culture. But the underlying forms of established during the Shang and Zhou eras still appear in modern Chinese culture in everything from religion to traditions to dress to writing and characters. The Shang people developed cultural forms such as pictographic writing, typical foods and clothes, and emphasizing large-scale construction projects. These traditions were emulated afterwards in the Sui eras when Confucian philosophies developed the imperial dynasties in modern China. So, Confucian, ito po yung Confucianism na sinasabi. Confucianism is an ancient Chinese belief system which focuses on the importance of personal ethics and morality. So, next one. We have the distinctiveness of the Asian cultures. The Shang and Zhou treasured writing, and this part in the part allowed them to survive for such long period of time. Little is known about the cultures of the civilizations that neighbored the Shang empires, such as the San Xingdui. So next one, we have the origins of Chinese culture. Historical records from the Shang era are scantily but ancient Chinese historical records. The Shang date about 2,200 years ago say that the Han people originated from the Waxian tribe of the Yellow Emperor who live on the Central Plains. So, I just want to share you a very short story about the Yellow Emperor. Yellow Emperor. It is said that all Chinese people have a common ancestors. Suan Yuan, Huan or the Yellow Emperor, the first ruler of lands that would later become the China. His reign began in 2697 before Common Era when he united tribes of the Yellow River Plain under the single government. Itong single government na sinasabi is para po siyang the mandate of heaven. Feudalism pala. Para feudalism. Why? Because feudalism is a system of government based on the landowners and tenants. Parang, for example, meron yung king. King is the entire empire. Siya yung pinaka-highest, pinakamataas at give land to his lords. Si lords na sinasabi, LORDS, yung sumunod kay king, is basically ruled the land, soldiers, to protect the land. So, king, down to lords, down to soldiers. Soldiers protect the land. And soldiers down to peasants. King, lords, soldier, and the peasants. Peasants naman give a small portion of their crops to the king. So, parang highest, pababa. Then, pababa, pataas. Para magbigay siya ng ng tulong or service dun sa highest person. So, next one, we have the 9 aspects of Chinese ancient culture. 1. We have the pictographic characters for writing. Ito po siya. Yung pagsusulat na ginagawa nila. Yan. Archaeological discoveries show that by 1200, the Shang were writing in pictograms that were somewhat similar to the characters used today in Chinese writing. Di pa rin nakakala sa kanila yan. Kasi pasa-pasa na yun sa henerasyon, sa iba pang henerasyon. So, next one. A high esteem for writing, literature, and historical records. The Shang seem to rely heavily on writing for record keeping. Their inscriptions have been found on tens of thousands of orthokel bones and their surviving bronze metal creations. Writing was probably an important feature of daily life, but most of their writings have been lost since they would have been written them on parchments or other things that later dated. So, 1. A high esteem for writing. So, kumbaga, dati, hindi nila napahalagahan. Pero nung, they realize the importance ng pagsusulat. So, kikip nila yon para hindi na siya mawala. Yes. Kasi nga syempre, kumbaga dati wala silang alam about that. So, may ibang generation na na-mix dun sa dating generation. Nagkaroon sila ng knowledge about that. Kung paano pahalagan yung isang bagay. Just like, sinabi nila about sa kanilang writing. So, this emphasis on writing and education was an important part of ancient culture, and it was also important in all imperial eras beginning with the Qing conquest in 221 BC and ending in 1912. So, nabigyan na siya ng halaga. So, next one, we have the style of arts and crafts. The Shang produced large, heavy, and geometrically intricate bronze objects in characteristic styles. The Zhou clan, who were initial subjects of the Shang dynasty, continued after they took over the empire. Their bronze work was very different in style than the bronzes of the congruent Shang-Xing-Dui civilization in Sichuan, even though it is known that there was a trade between the two cultures. So, ito po yung arts and crafts. Parang may meaning sa kanila. Just like this. Are you familiar with yin and yang? So, this part portion, kita natin to, pure black siya. Yan. Meaning, more on negatives. Kumbaga, masama siyang tao. Imagine mo yan tao, yan napakasama niya. Pero sa kasamaan niya yun, meron pa rin mabuti at magandang loob. Unlike dito sa kabila. So, kala mo sobrang bait. Pero, meron pala siyang negative or bad attitude. Just like sinabi dito. Parang pinakita ko kanina na meron difference. So, next one. We have a preference for jade. The Shang prized jade object unusually highly compared to their cultures, and the people in Zhou era did as well. So, sa Chinese kasi, especially to the young, hindi lang mga Chinese ang nakakapag this sa jade na yan. Sa jade po. Sa jade na yan. Ito. Kasi ginagawa nila yan most just like this jewelry, lalagay ginagawang kurkurantong ng katawan, yan, or ito naman dinidisplay sa bahay, mga yan, mga sa kanila kasi may hatid na swerte, ang ganun. So tayo ng mga Pilipino nakikigaya naman, nakikiuso yan, mga yan. So next one, syempre ang tea culture, hindi mawawala sa kanila yan. During the Tang Dynasty and afterwards, tea was major export to the Theban Empire along the Tea Horse Road, and it is still Chinese common power natural health beverage. Para sa kanila kasi itong pag-inom ng tea is nakakaganda siya sa katawan, sa health ng isang Chinese. Yes, maganda para sa kanila. Ganun. So, sa ating mga Pilipino is kape, sa kanila is pag-inom ng tsaa. Yes, like that tsaa. Next one, the silk culture. Ito yung damit nila. Ang gamit nilang dress. Another Chinese characteristic streaming from the ancient past of silk. So, ito siya. Ito yung sa sinusot nilang damit yan. Diba meron yung tawag dun sa panamit ng babae and then lalaki. Saka para sa kanila. So, next one. So, kung tayo sa mga Pilipino is kimono, ganun. Yan naman yung mga sinusot ng mga Chinese. Yes. So, next one, we have the worship of heaven and rulers. The Shanghai, they believe in a supreme God called Shangdi, who represent heaven. So, sila rin, may tinatawag din silang God. Kung tayo ay si Jesus ang God natin, sa kanila naman is si Shangdi. Yun naman yung God nila, Shangdi. Kasi po, they believe that Shangdi preside over big issues such as war, harvest, natural disasters, and the succession of dynasties. So, yan, paniniwala nila yan. So, tayo naman, i-respect natin yun. So, tayo kasi, meron dalawa. Which is yung mga Muslim, iba rin yung God nila. So, para sa Chinese, iba din. Sa atin, iba din. Iba-iba tayo ng beliefs and cultures na sinusunod. So, next one. We have the folk religion and Taoism. The Shang also worship their own ancestors and notable dead people. Can call that ancestor worship. So, sa kanila, imagine mo patay na nga, yung ninuno mo, nag-worship ka pa sa kanya. So, kasi naniniwala sila na yung kaluluwa ng patay is nakakatulong sa mga tao. Yes, nakakatulong sa kanila yun. So, they worship their ancestors. This concept were part of the folk religion. So, part na ng beliefs nila yun na nakakatulong sa kanila yung pag-worship sa kanilang ancestors para maging healthy siguro sila, ganyan. So, kung tayo kasi dito is isa lang yung pinag-worshipan natin, only God. And kung may mga sakit tayo, ganun, sa doktor lang, ganun. Sila yan. They believe in their ancestors. Yes, nakaya pa nilang kapagpagaling. So, next one, and the last one, a tradition of mega building projects. So, ito yung sinasabi ko kanina guys na building projects. The Shangin Zoo also set a tradition for big construction and engineering projects. It is recorded that the first Xia king named King Yu was granted the Xia kingdom at the age of 53 because he had been very successful in controlling the floods of the Yellow River through gargantuan engineering projects. So, ito yung mga pinatayo niya. Yan po. Yung mga magagandang mga building projects. So, ang nagmamayari po doon ay si King Yu. Kasi siyang successful. Kasi kaya niyang kontrolin yung ng flood. So, nagpatayo siya ng mega building projects niya na pagmamayari niya. The succeeding ancient empires continued the political and economic policy. Large empires sometimes used millions of laborers for a single project such as the Grand Canal. So, familiar naman siguro kayo dun sa Grand Canal. Even in modern times, the building of mega construction projects such as the Three Gorges Dam, the biggest and most expensive dam project in the world, is inspired by the ancient tradition. So, that's all. And mag-end na po tayo sa aking report. Thank you. Sa hope na may natutunan po tayo.